Hey, I'm Logan.
I'm Logan.
You've done this before, right?
I forgot my name, so I decided to use your name.
Okay, do you remember your name now?
No. Could you tell me what it
Okay,
is?
I've changed my name. I'm Alyssa. And you're Logan.
I think I'm Alyssa, actually.
Wow, breaking news, my name has changed back to Logan. This is Marketer's Cut, a podcast where we talk about new movies and some slightly older movies sometimes that are related in some way.
Sometimes we do really old movies, and sometimes we do, like, movies that are just older than the first movie.
Yeah. So, this week, our new movie, you guys know how Army of the Dead came out on Netflix this week, and it's, the new movie by the big director.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our new movie is Bad Trip from March. Came out on Netflix. And the movie that's slightly related to that is Borat's subsequent Moviefilm. That came out last October.
That's Borat, too.
Yeah. Yeah? So
Love-
we're going to...
Love that Borat, man.
You do. You do now.
Yeah.
How would you describe him?
He has dark hair and a mustache.
Is he nice?
He's from Kazakhstan.
Is he nice?
It's a very subjective term.
Well, I was just trying to get you to say very nice, the same way that he says very nice.
I would never do that.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and talk about our movies. We're going to start with Bad Trip. So, Bad Trip, directed by Gidao Sakurai, and it stars, Eric Andre, Lil Ray Howard.
Eric Andre? So is Eric Andre in it or someone like Eric Andre?
All right, middle school English teacher, what do you want me to say?
Just that it stars Eric Andre.
It stars also, maybe Tiffany Haddish, too. Maybe. I'm not, sure. Am I supposed to be...
I'm no longer doing this podcast.
Am I supposed to be an expert here?
You're doing the podcast by yourself now. I'm no longer talking.
Okay, well, I'm moving on. Here's a quick synopsis from IMDb. This mix of a scripted buddy comedy road movie and a real hidden camera prank show follows the outrageous misadventures of two buds stuck in a rut who embark on a cross-country road trip to NYC. The storyline sets up shocking real pranks. That was a long synopsis. What do you think, Alyssa? Alyssa's nodding enthusiastically, and it's kind of smiling at me lovingly. We've been together for a long time, but this look she's giving me now is I don't think she's ever been happier with me. She's speechless.
That's not what's happening.
Oh, I thought you weren't talking anymore.
I'm just clarifying for the audience who can't see my angry growl that I'm basically doing at you from way far away from the mic so no one can hear me talk.
She's embarrassed, but it's just this look of pure love that I don't think I've ever seen in my life.
Because I've never given it to you and I never will.
And it's just nice to be seeing it now.
You're making me just never ever want to do it even if you had ever seen it. I'll never do it ever again now. You're just really embarrassing me today.
So this movie has a 75% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 70% audience score. Couldn't find any budget info. Couldn't find any cinema score info because it was not released in theaters. Yeah. What did you think of this movie?
I thought it was funny. There were some parts where I like some slapstick. There's a point where it's too much slapstick.
I know exactly what point I believe you are referring to.
Yeah, so
doesn't involve a gorilla.
Yeah, so there were a lot of parts that I thought were funny, and I think Eric Andre is really great. I love Tiffany Haddish. You know I love Tiffany Haddish. She's the reason we basically did Girls Trip because she's so good in that movie. Mm-hmm. So I think it was interesting to see them do this take. It's a really funny concept to be we're pranking these people kind of in real life. And it's weird that it goes with the storyline, but I'm kind of into it.
Yeah. No, it's a cool thing. It's Borat's a good example of how Borat does the same thing. And it almost feels like there were parts of how things played out in this story, but even more so in Borat that affect the written parts of it, They're oh shit, this happened. We need to change. We need to go back and rewrite parts to make this work. Maybe that's not how that's how it feels. And I think it's interesting.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of the same thoughts. Again, like, it's really funny in places. Some places I think that, like, the prank aspect goes, like, a little bit too far, but the reaction aspects of, like, the real people saves it all. So, I mean, it's like, enjoyable throughout.
Yeah, it's nice at the end to watch all the people like realize that it was a prank. That's all. That's like really fun. I like that too.
Yeah, in the credits when they're kind of like talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
the credits were really amazing. So this film was originally supposed to debut at South by Southwest in March of 2020. Years are really getting to me now. In March of 2020. South by Southwest was, at the time, controversially canceled. People thought maybe it was like, oh, they shouldn't cancel this, Things will be back to normal soon enough. They were wrong. I think most people would agree it needed to be canceled now. But at the time, pretty controversial canceling of the festival. And this film was also supposed to come out in April, and it didn't because theaters were closed. Now, I don't know exactly how this happened, but the film accidentally hit Amazon Prime on April 17th, 2020. Just for a little bit. It was an accident. It was up long enough for it to start showing up on, like, Pirate Bay and other pirating sites. But they took it down right away. And then shortly after sold to Netflix. Even after all this marketing money had been put into the movie. Because, I mean, they had already been leading up to its release and everything. Yeah, but it sold to Netflix. So it had a rocky start to its release, for sure.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I wonder what happened there.
Yeah, someone fucked up, I think.
Yeah, but how does Amazon have it when it's supposed to go to Netflix?
See, it possibly... 'Cause I know there was something that Amazon Prime did after South by Southwest was canceled, and they kind of did like a online virtual version of the festival, and films that were accepted at South by Southwest could opt in to be shown on Amazon. So I don't know if it was like an accidental thing that was related to that or not. Still like a very interesting way to kind of kick off your movie's like release.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna highlight a couple of things. Like this is from the producer of Jackass, which like not a shocker. Not shocked there at all.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
I believe that was kind of highlighted in like the poster and trailer a little bit, or some of the marketing materials for sure. I'm being honest here, tried to do a lot of research for the actual marketing done for this movie. Couldn't find much other than like the trailers and posters that were released. And I really think it's because everything shut down before the marketing machine got to really like get going for this film. Mm-hmm. And then Netflix doesn't really market their movies. Netflix just throws shit out and hopes it sticks.
Yeah. I wonder how much they threw into marketing that kind of just got wasted.
I'm sure a decent amount, especially when you kind of have a year of just not talking about this film at all once Netflix buys it to the time it actually releases it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I may have heard of it in the early 2020, but I completely forgot because when we heard about this movie when it came out, I had no idea it was even a thing. So in terms of, awareness, they weren't doing a great job with that. It was all kind of about press, hoping people write about it, which a lot of people did. If you search anything about this movie, you get tons of articles about a bunch of different topics, like some that are tying in Eric Andre's prank show, or show where he does like these kind of public pranks and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm tying in like that brand to this movie and like what that brings to it. There were a bunch of sites that wrote about, and the like Eric Andre and Howery came out and had to publicly say this, maybe to help drum up some press for it. But during one of the pranks while filming, a business owner whipped out a knife at both of them. Yeah, and Lil Ray temporarily quit. He was like, "I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore." And Andre said that they had to, quote unquote, seduce him to come back to the film. But there were a lot of things, written about that, and that's, I'm sure he feared for his life and awful.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be a riveting story that was written about a ton on the release of this film.
Yeah, that would get me to be like, hey, what the fuck happened in this movie?
Yeah, and it does kind of make you think like, oh, shit's gonna get real, which is what you want to see in a prank movie.
Yeah, but nobody
You don't want to see anyone
dead.
hurt, but you want to know that the pranks are real.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But I think it brought a lot of buzz to it. And I really just think it was the marketing for this movie, because it was Netflix, because it was like something that kind of the machine started early 2020, late 2019 even, and then just kind of got cut off. The marketing was all over the place, and it just kind of had to rely on press, so like people writing about it, and just the brand of Eric Andre and like Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah.
Like Tiffany Haddish is funny as fuck. Watch this movie because she's in it.
Yeah.
Eric Andre is known for just doing wild shit that you wouldn't expect. Watch this movie because it's got some wild shit that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
And I really think that about covers it. Do you want to talk about the trailer and poster now?
Yeah, I didn't see the poster yet.
Well, let's talk about the trailer. We watched a Red Band trailer from early 2020 when it was supposed to be released in April of last year. What do you think about that trailer?
It shows, I didn't love it. It shows some of like the outrageous parts, but it's like a lot of going into those outrageous parts is like the build up to it. So I feel like all of a sudden you see Tiffany Haddish, she's breaking out of jail, and it's like, what is happening? I felt like it was hard to make it coherent
Yeah.
because I don't know if you can.
It's hard to make the pranks funny when you don't see them from start to finish.
Yeah,
I feel like.
exactly.
So you can't just pull like a singular joke. It's very hard to pull like a joke out of a scene like you would in a comedy and say, hey, look at this funny joke.
Yeah, you're just kind of like, hey, look, this is outrageous. Look at this outrageous thing we're going to do in this.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, that is kind of funny.
I agree. No, I thought the trailer, it has some funny parts. But overall, yeah, it didn't feel like special. Like, it's not something that would have made me want to watch this movie.
Agreed.
Because I only
100%.
watched this because of like the buzz around it and people saying, hey, this movie is actually really good. But yeah, no, I agree. What do you think about the poster?
Poster's pretty good, honestly. I really don't hate it. I love the angle the car is making. Something feels off about the colors for some reason.
Yeah.
But I think
It looks like very poorly photoshopped.
yeah.
I don't know if that's intentional, because it does look like over the top and ridiculous. And like, but it does look kind of poorly photoshopped. Like, it looks rough to me.
Okay.
At least the colors. But
Yeah, the colors are a little off for me too. I agree.
yeah. Do you have any marketing ideas for this film?
It's like tough because what would be cool is if you have people who knew these pranks were going to happen and they showed up and they watched them and they were like, oh, that's going to be on a movie I saw getting filmed. But you really can't do something like that. It's cool for the people who were part of the pranks and they found out and it's like, oh, I'm going to be in this movie. That's kind of cool. But that's obviously not everyone. One thing I thought was interesting is like the one place that Tiffany Haddish was at during this is literally 10 minutes from our apartment. Mm-hmm. And that's also cool, but a lot of stuff is shot in Georgia.
Yeah.
So, Georgia people are used to it at this point.
So you want to get people in on the prank? You want to find a way to get more people in on the prank?
Yeah, I think that'd be cool because then they'd be like, haha, guess what?
I have an idea.
Okay.
You ready? Watch this movie. Credits roll. If you say to the end of the credits, if you let them roll all the way on Netflix, which is very hard to do on Netflix, by the way. Like, if you try to watch credits on Netflix will look you dead in the eye and tell you, fuck no. Watch the first episode of this sitcom.
Yep.
Like, you're not watching credits. Fuck everyone that worked on this.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch credits at all. If you do watch them, they're in the top left corner. Good luck reading it.
Yeah.
But if someone's able to figure it out, stick all the way to the credits at the end. Eric Andre pops up on screen and says, hey, this movie wasn't the real movie. It was a prank. You've all been pranked. Go to this link to watch the real movie. And then it's called Batter Trip.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Bladder Trip, which is a different story.
What about just the worst trip?
You can call it Worst Trip, too. And it's a same movie, different pranks. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I don't know how that works, but that's what it is. I'm not the prank expert. Now, I did say I've started working on like our episode descriptions for YouTube and Simplecast and everything, and I did call us the best prank cast of 2021. No, I don't know what that means just yet, but Eric Andre, if you want to hop on the best prank cast of 2021 and help make that become a true thing to say and not a lie, we'd welcome it.
I mean, I do think there has to be other pranks. Like, there's some they had to have cut out.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see, like, the extras.
All right, so...
Show them to me.
So, movie's done. You get to the credits. There's a knock on your door. You open the door. There is an iPad.
Okay.
And an iPad is playing a deleted scene prank. And you're like, what? And then you look about 15 feet away. There's another iPad on the ground. And you keep watching. There's about 40 of these.
This seems a little expensive.
It's about 40 of it. You do this for everyone that gets to the end of the credits.
Yep, it seems expensive.
Yeah, but it creates buzz. It gets people talking. That's what I always say. If you get someone talking, you get them walking. And so they're following this trail. And what's at the end of the iPads? You ask. Would you like to ask me what's at the end of the iPads?
What's at the end of the iPads?
Whatever you want it to be.
Oh my god. That's not a good marketing tactic. That's bad. I say Tiffany Haddish should have been in the background of the poster.
True.
Should have gotten her on there. There's some good
Her
marketing.
name was on the poster, but she should have been.
Her face should have been on there. I don't know how you make the trailer better. Borat, you have the other Borat, and so you're like, hell yeah, Borat's here. I agree. You'd really have to push like Eric Andre, who does a lot of funny things. Tiffany Haddish, who also does a lot of funny things. And honestly, I think they actually should have done pranks for the marketing. There should have been smaller pranks that they did for the marketing of the movie. They do a funny prank only for the marketing.
And the trailer is just a prank, right? The trailer is a full prank. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, yeah, but I'm thinking more of like Instagram clips, not very long, I don't know. Enough to do like some kind of prank, and at the end they're like, you're pranked, this is part of our marketing for our movie.
Do you remember the marketing for Bad Grandpa? I'm pretty sure I think that was when we were in high school, so I worked at a theater when that movie came out. Do you remember the trailers for it?
No, not at all.
I am 90% sure, and I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, then I still think this should be a thing with prank movies. But I'm 90% sure that the trailer for that movie is like, it's like half of, not a full scene from the movie, but it's an extended like scene. Mm-hmm. So you get to like watch everything kind of go down. And then once, it kind of reveals that it's a prank, or, people start freaking out and it kind of hits that like apex of the prank. Mm-hmm. Then it cuts away and you start cutting, like a normal trailer, cutting different scenes together and stuff. But I think that's the perfect way to market a prank movie, because what was our issue with the trailer?
So there's too many little tidbits of the different pranks.
Yeah.
It doesn't show you enough of what's really happening.
Yeah, but if the trailer was 2.5 minutes, you start out with 1.5 minutes, even maybe 2 minutes of a straight up prank. And then the last 30 seconds is like some other exciting shots from the film, and then your title card. Bam, you got a cool prank movie trailer.
I agree. I think that would have been a much better way to do it. I also think individual dumb pranks for just the marketing also would be fun.
I agree. Like,
because then you're also not spoiled. You know what I'm saying? You're seeing, hey, this is like what we have in this movie, but you're not going to see this in the movie. So when there may be 6 or 7 pranks in the movie, whatever, this isn't one of them. You're going to see all new pranks.
No, I agree.
Great. Let's talk about Borat, subsequent movie film.
Yeah, I think we did a good idea for that, I think.
I hate you.
Wow. Okay, Borat subsequent movie film. This movie was directed by Jason Woliner. Synopsis from IMDb. Borat returns from Kazakhstan to Kazakhstan?
Listen, all I know is I'm reading about it in my Seth Rogen book, and this man embarrassed that country, and that country fucking hates. Sacha
Baron Cohen?
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense. It feels very,
it they hate him.
Very disrespectful to a real country. I'm surprised they didn't make it a false country.
Yeah, that probably would have been a better
Fake
idea,
country.
huh?
Yeah. No, I didn't know that they actually hated him. Like that there was an official, like, they hate him. But it makes a lot of sense. But Borat returns from Kazakhstan to America, and this time he reveals more about the American culture, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the political elections. This movie opened on October 23rd, 2020 on Amazon Prime. I say opened, it was more like it released on that day.
Yeah.
On Amazon Prime.
It opened up the hypothetical DVD, Blu-ray, 4K case for us to be able to open it and put it into our player.
Are you good?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So Rotten Tomatoes, this movie has an 85% critic score, 63% audience score. Critic score is pretty high for a Borat film, I think.
Yep, I agree.
Really good, really good. Again,
very nice. Is that what you meant to say?
That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
So again, no cinema score, no box office. I couldn't find budget info for this movie. We've already talked a lot about prank movies, though, and a cool way to market them. I do think Borat has the luxury of having been kind of like a cult hit before. Mm-hmm. So it gets to, a lot of the trailer is directly referencing that previous movie.
Exactly.
And then there's parts of the film where he's walking down the street and there's real people that are like, oh my God, it's Borat.
Yeah.
Which, when I saw this movie, I was like, that is so fucking funny. Because you watch shows like, I don't know, what's the one, Gordon Ramsay, he goes undercover in kitchens and with the disguise. There's undercover boss.
I didn't know that existed.
Oh, it's something. And there's also undercover boss.
Well, now I want to watch it myself. Why would you say that to me?
I don't know. Does John Taffer ever go undercover on Bar Rescue?
Listen, how do you show up and you don't know it's Gordon Ramsay?
Okay, I've seen, I think on Twitter, some of his disguises. I'll say this, they don't look like a real person, which also means it doesn't look like Gordon Ramsay, but it also doesn't look like a human being. They are some fucked up disguises. How he gets away with them, I don't know. But anyways, anytime you're watching Undercover Boss and you get to season 5, it show's been on for 5 years, you're like, people gotta know by now, right? People gotta know. What was that show on ABC? It's like a TikTok sound now. It's like, hey, my name's this, and you're on What Would You Do? Or something. You remember that?
No.
Oh. That was another show where it's like these wild situations that they create, and then they film what the public, people walking by, what they react and do,
Yeah.
It's like someone's trying to cut a bike lock, and people walking by and it's like, hey, can you help me cut this real quick? My bike got stuck. Can you help me cut this lock? And okay, anyways, at some point you're watching it and you're like, what the fuck? I wouldn't know who this is. Why does this person I'm watching not? But they address that directly in Borat, which I think is pretty amazing.
That's true.
Talk about some of the interesting marketing efforts for Borat that I was actually able to find?
Well, tell them to me.
Amazon is really, unlike Netflix, really good at marketing their stuff. Really good at pushing it out. But let's talk about Borat. So, obviously, Borat had to have been made in secret. You can't tell people they're making a Borat movie, because then more people are on alert. You know what I'm saying? And you already had a big enough issue of people just recognizing Borat. So it was made in secret. They announced the film at the end of September, giving time for 4 weeks of promotion. That's not a lot of time at all. That's from announcement to release.
Yeah, that's literally no time.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of that with movies. Hardly ever. The announcement kind of started with Sacha Baron Cohen tweeting a pic of himself in character. And then an ad ran during the NBA Finals before the official trailer dropped. I think it's just funny that we're talking about September and an ad ran during the NBA Finals. That's normally when the season starts, but last year was just wild. So they did that, and then also they did some other wild things that sound like they're straight out of this podcast. But they had giant balloons on ships, like Borat balloons on ships going down the, and I might be saying this wrong, Thames River in London. Whatever river goes through London, that one.
Yeah.
Also going down the Hudson River in New York, like a river in Toronto and in Rio. Just ships with giant Borat balloons
That
on
does
them.
sound exactly like an idea we would do.
There's also Bondi Beach in Australia, which kind of became known as Borat Beach, where a giant Borat statue was flown in by helicopter. Yeah, I just don't get it. They're really trying to make a mark, get people talking. On Twitch, which Amazon owns Twitch, so Borat appeared during one of Dr. Lupo's gaming sessions, what they called it. It feels kind of lame to call it a gaming session.
Yeah.
And Borat was interviewed live. It was viewed by more than 1 million people, which at the time was the highest viewership of any branded stream ever.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. What would you? Is it very, very nice? I'm bad at
That
it.
was not good.
Yep,
Next.
I should
Next
cut that
thing
out.
to say.
Okay. Next thing to say is, I just wanted to mention real quickly that Amazon does market their shit. I saw while researching this that they also did something called Maisel Day in their marketing campaign for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, where they got businesses and like hotels and gas stations to agree to offer 1959 prices
Oh, wow.
to promote the show. That's fucking awesome. That's really cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah. So yeah, we already talked about the Borat trailer a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything else you want to say about it. I think we kind of hit the main points.
Yes.
Okay. What do you think about the poster? You got Borat holding a sign. It says US plus A, please accept gift. His daughter entirely wrapped.
Yeah, I wish I would have shown her head and wrapped the rest of her body. Or
Yeah,
like,
there
if
are
she's
other
peeking out a
posters
little
that
bit.
show her.
Okay.
But this was like the main one that I can find, like the official kind of
Yeah.
Amazon original poster. Yeah, I mean, it's very simple. You don't really get that like typical movie theater type poster with like the release date and all the credits on the bottom and stuff.
And all the extra BS you don't even need.
Yeah, and it's partially just because it's an Amazon original. You know, they're just throwing it on Amazon. They need a poster to put in like, I don't know, the IMDb poster place or something.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There it is.
There it is. I agree. Nice call. There it is. Just agreeing with you. Do you have any marketing ideas for this?
No, I mean, they took my balloon idea.
Oh, that was your exact balloon idea?
Yeah, and then, like, Borat is already, like, this known character. I mean, they did the damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, and then this isn't something I really talked about, but I'm going to be honest. The reason that I wanted to watch, I'd never seen Borat before this movie came out. You hadn't either. And the reason that I ended up watching Borat was because I heard that Maria Baklova, I think is how you say her name, was getting Oscar buzz for her role in this movie. And I was like, shit, really? So
that did definitely push us to watching this.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that led us to watching Borat, and then we were like, yeah, we need to watch Borat subsequent movie film, which, I mean, I think was way more entertaining and better than the first Borat, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
You know, also have the benefit of watching it during the time it is released and, you know, getting that kind of effect and commentary from it. But that Oscar bit was a very effective piece of marketing for us because, I mean, that's different, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because, again, that movie, it's like a prank movie. And you're like, this girl's getting Oscar buzz for this movie?
Yeah.
What is happening? And then you watch it and you're like, all right, very nice.
Yeah, I think that they should be like heavily leaning into the fact that it's Oscar nominated. And even if they ever make a third one, you know,
Yeah.
like bring that up because I mean, so there's another podcast I listen to, which like don't go listen to it. You're already barely listening to ours, so don't go listen to any other podcast, please. But it's called We Have Concerns, and you know, they're a science comedy podcast. That's what they call themselves. Mm-hmm. Now they have won an award in a science category at some podcast awards thing, and they are constantly joking. They're like, "Hey, we're an award-winning science podcast," and they think it's the most absurd thing because they're more a comedy podcast than a science podcast. Yeah, like they read science articles, but their main thing is like bringing the jokes to them. So they just think it's hilarious that they were nominated and won a science award. I think that's kind of what this Borat thing was. Like nobody would have ever predicted Borat's daughter would be nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah,
Ever.
that's very true.
So I just think that's fascinating, and if they lean into that a bunch, like any future marketing material for Borat, you know, Academy Award nominated Borat, Hollywood acclaimed Borat. I don't know. I think it's funny.
Some scandals also came from this, and I guess they didn't.
How did we not talk about that? Yes.
I feel like, I don't know, how do you market that, but not in an insensitive way to be like, ooh, look at this?
I mean, I feel like that to your audience, I mean, you watch this movie, it's got a message that a lot of people aren't going to vibe with. Mm-hmm. Which is a different conversation. But I think if you're marketing the Giuliani scandal, which, to clarify for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, there is a scene where Borat's daughter, who is, I believe, 15 in the film, and, states that she is 15 to people, including Rudy Giuliani, where he sits down on a bed and unbuttons his pants and sticks his hands down his pants in a room with her. It's very creepy. Right before this movie came out, I think, people started talking about that scene, like press screenings and everything, and it kind of blew up. It's like, wow, Borat got Rudy. And it's like this, Sacha Baron Cohen had a show on Showtime or something recently, and every single week was an episode where they had a different, like, public figure on, and he was tricking them, and it created buzz every single week. And there was apparently, like, a Sarah Palin episode that was, like, so bad it never even aired.
Wow.
Or something. Or at least that's what they said. So that kind of aspect, like, creates a ton of buzz. So, I mean, when this movie came out, the Giuliani thing was everywhere.
Yeah.
Of course, nothing happened to him.
Of course.
People that liked Giuliani didn't give a shit. Of course. But it got a lot of people talking.
That's a good point. I mean, that's the thing is, like, I don't know. I mean, it happened naturally. So, I guess I wouldn't, like, be like, hey, look what happened. I maybe sure there's an interview with him in it, but I wouldn't. It came out. You know what I'm saying? It kind of did its own thing. It blossomed on its own.
They didn't need to market it because people watch it and they're like, oh, they knew what they were doing when they were filming it. It's like, the big thing about marketing is, the product itself is part of the marketing.
Yeah.
And they knew when they were making this, like, this is gonna create some sort of cultural conversation around it.
Yup, and it definitely did.
Yeah. So kind of amazing.
Kind of amazing.
Kind of amazing. Kind of very nice.
Just like this podcast.
Oh, nice. There it is. Alyssa's giving me that look of love.
Oh my
right
God.
Now.
No, I am not.
It just makes me feel really special to know that she loves me. So, and that's one of those sighs. When you love someone and you just gotta sigh and let it all out. Well, I think we've talked about enough.
Yeah, we've ended. This podcast is over. I'm done. I'm over the.
Just
I'm
this
over
week,
it.
though. Like we're back next week, right?
If you calm yourself,
I'll do my best. Cool. So this was take 27 of Marketer's Cut. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Marketer's Cut. Find the podcast anywhere you can find podcasts or on YouTube. Learn more at our website, marketerscut.com. I want to thank Jacob Wall for his art. Find more of his work on Instagram at JacobArtWall. I want to remind people that I made the opening and closing theme song for this show, which I do about every 10 episodes. If you want some podcast music, hit me up. I'll do my best. Yeah. You got anything you want to say?
Happy birthday to my dad, who's not going to listen to this episode, but it will release tomorrow, which is his birthday.
Oh, I didn't know it was tomorrow.
Yeah, so if my mom, happens to be playing in the car, he might hear this, and so he probably won't want to listen to our podcast, but if he does, he'll hear this, that I said happy birthday to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess also happy birthday to my dad. There's a negative 10% chance that he'll listen to it, but his birthday's on Monday, so,
Yeah, there's at least a 25% chance my dad might hear this, but you're right, your dad will never hear this.
I don't know, anything can happen. Borat subsequent movie film got nominated for an Oscar, so,
That's good. That's true.
Yep.
It's true.
Cool, so we're going to stop asking for approval from our fathers and end this podcast now.
Woo!
All right. Thanks for the dab, Alyssa. Thanks for that. You know when you love someone and you dab?
No, it wasn't a love dab. It was not.
Love dab. Right? Like love chat.
No.
You know?